Hello folks, welcome to another video, and hopefully I get this uploaded this weekend. Well, this is a weekend video. Yeah, so we just had a storm roll through. I can still see lightning strike off in the distance. Just had dinner, sat for a little bit, decided to come out and have a weekend smoke. For my caffeine, it's Diet Coke. Yeah, and this is zero sugar, 0 calories. Now there's also Coke Zero, which is I think it's zero. It's also 0 sugar, 0 calories, but I think they add different flavors to it. I don't like Coke Zero. I just prefer Diet Coke, Diet Dr. Pepper. The Dr. Pepper 10 isn't bad. That actually tastes okay. It's supposedly 10 calories with 2 grams of sugar. So if you are watching your weight, or if you're diabetic, well, I guess if you're an extreme diabetic where you're on insulin, then Coke Dr. Pepper 10 would still be off your limit. That 2 grams of sugar would still be too much. But if you're borderline diabetic, or if you're trying to lose weight, you're just a little bit overweight, then yeah, you could definitely do Dr. Pepper 10. And I think Coke has a version of theirs. Anyways, let's see. Today is yeah. So today is La Gloria Cubana, and I think this is Series R. And this is a good line of cigar. I believe these guys have been around for a long time. I've just never ate too much. Now I'm like, you ever had it where you eat a lot and you're having a hard time breathing? That's me. Yeah, and of course my buddy makes fun of it too, because when we're out eating, they'll go, oh, just like Mr. Child's getting full. You can tell he's breathing hard. Or you unbuckle your pants. It's like, hey man, are you getting full? You having a hard time breathing? It's like, yes. So it is a mild cigar. It is a kind of a dark brownish wrapper. It does have a mild cigar smell to it. So today I'm going to start off talking about swatting because of the incident in Phoenix, Arizona. So basically, first we'll cover what is swatting. Swatting is something that's relatively new since the internet's become widely available. And it's not because of social media. The heck, it's very humid out here, so I'm probably gonna have a hard time. It just rained like crazy probably an hour or so ago. Let me flip this around. It was literally, I have a thermometer under the porch here, and around this afternoon, it showed like 100, like 105, in the shade. Yeah, I'm gonna have a hard time. I'm seeing all those guys down in Dominican, Nicaragua, down there in the the tropics, especially the equator, where it is super humid, where it's like 80% humidity all the time. They might have a trick of maybe drying out their cigar a little bit in the oven. Maybe I don't know. So swatting started with gamers, mainly Call of Duty, things like that, where a gamer would rage, and they would find the person's address, call the cops, to tell the cops, hey, there's I can hear gunshots, there's yelling coming from this house, and yes, and in some situation when the cop shows up, the kid is still playing. He's got his of course, a gunshot is a normal gunshot. I don't know about Call of Duty, but in real life, it's about 120 decibel. Which is about the same as a jet engine taking off, a concert or a rock concert, or any concert. So swatting, I guess the modern definition is calling 911 or calling the police with the intent of getting the police out to this person's residence for psychological, or physical, or in some cases death, or where you want to put a psychological, physical, or in some case death, where the police kills the person. A lot of times, they'll call and say that they hear gunshot. Call of Duty players, or they'll just say, "Hey, I hear gunshot. Get the police out there." Or the one that I believe gets used a lot is the domestic violence. Oh, I'm hearing yelling and cursing. I hear banging. Things being thrown around. Someone is saying that they're going to kill you, or not kill you, but you hear someone yelling that they're going to kill this person, or that the person, or that you're calling that you saw a person with a gun, or this person is going to do bodily harm to someone or to themselves. Damn it, freaking bug. So the more famous case comes out of Kansas, and I forget the person's name. So basically, there are these three buddies. Yes, they play games. I guess that makes them gamers. Unemployed, at home playing games. And one of the three guys knows or now deceased person, and he has a beef with the guy. That's a backfiring car, by the way. It's not gunshots. I don't live in the hood, but again, out here in the suburbs, you never know. So anyways, one of the three guys has a beef with the now deceased person, and so he has this guy's address, and he gives it to one of his buddy. Of course, these guys, they know each other from playing games and stuff, mainly first-person shooting, Call of Duty, Battlefield, whatever, probably Call of Duty. Yeah, speaking of Call of Duty, I'll probably get that new one. The Black Ops, the one that has the what's his name, the Yuri Bezmenov, the Yuri Bezmenov clips in it, in the trailer that's triggering liberals. So his buddy calls the police, gives them the address. Hey, I see this guy. He's got a gun. He's threatening people with the gun. And I probably need to read up on this more. I saw it on TV, I forgot which channel, and I was like, hey, this is interesting, let me watch this. And I didn't pay much attention to it, as you can see. So it's nighttime when the cops show up. I don't know if it's 10, 11, or if it's 1 or 2 or 3 in the morning. So the guy's asleep, or he's in his house. He's unaware. There's like 50 cops surrounding his house. So the cops go up to his door, knocks on his door, yelling at him to come out with his hands up, drop his weapon. At this point, the guy's like, "What the hell, man?" He's sitting in his house minding his own business, and you got 50 cops surrounding your house. Out of the way, dog. I'm gonna spit on you. So he comes out, and the cops who are yelling at him, his house has the porch to his house has like I guess 3 steps that goes up. So as he comes out, the police who are at his door retreats to the bottom of his porch, and they're yelling at him, raise your hand, drop your weapon. And the officer that shoots him is like 40 yards away. They're like, what the hell? what the hell, man? You're 40 yards away. What I mean, you can see what's going on, kind of, and even if you had a scope, all you can see is a small area, so you can't even hear what's going on. So the guy is shot. He's bleeding to death on the porch. They don't render first aid to the guy. Just they leave him on the porch to bleed to death. So in that case, so they traced the 911 call, and yeah, and I'll get to the Phoenix, Arizona case, because the DA in Phoenix could use this case as a precedence to bring charges against the 911 caller, and yes, and the guy who shot and killed is a white man, in both Phoenix and in this Kansas case. So the police did some investigating, and they find out it was these three guys who did the SWAT call, basically the fake 911 call. Saying this guy's got a gun, he's waving it around, threatening people. So yeah, so the police officer that did the shooting was fired, but he wasn't brought up on charges or anything like that. The three guys were arrested. Two of them were sentenced to. One guy had to pay some sort of a fee, but he got lucky because he was just their buddy. He knew what these two were doing, but he didn't, of course, tell authorities. So he only had to pay a fine. The two guys were sentenced to 20 years in prison, and I believe this happened back in 2008, but yeah, somewhere around there, 2009. So those two guys, it's 20 years in prison without parole. So if you're thinking of, and if your state has anti-swatting laws, I know Washington State has it, because damn liberals will do that to you. Kansas, and I think Kansas is red. Yeah, and you can just type in Kansas anti-swatting law, and the guy's name will come up because the anti-swatting law was named after him in Kansas, and I believe Kansas, because of this incident, was the first state to enact a anti-swatting law, which is basically an fake 911 call with the intention of not you dialed it by accident, or you dialed it to just laugh at the operator, but you're dialing it saying, hey, I see a guy waving a gun, please come to this address. The hell? Sound like a loudspeaker. There's a park nearby. It sounded like a loudspeaker. And yes, today was so hot. It was like I call it the stinging hot. And that's within the shade, because I was outside, under the porch doing some stuff, and I wasn't even in direct sunlight, and I could feel the sting from the heat. It was that hot. Now I don't know what happened in Washington State for the legislator to enact a anti-swatting law in Washington State, but Kansas, that's the reason why Kansas has it, is because of that case where the innocent man, comes out going, what the hell is going on? The hell you guys, 50 police around my house? What the hell? And then he gets shot and killed, by some officer who's 40 yards away. He probably had a rifle with the scope on it, because a 40 yard with a handgun, you got to be really really on the ball. And I've told this story too, and two cases where I got SWAT calls on me. And the first case is I was in a rental house, and I hate apartments, so I was in a rental house, and I had this neighbor who lives across the street, but he wasn't like straight across, just across and to the side. Old guy, like 78 years old. So I was having a problem with my Harley, and I emailed Flowmaster. It's something Master. I haven't used them in a long time, but most Harley owners use these ECMs for if you do any kind of an engine tweaking, you know, exhaust tweaking or any kind of a flow tweaking to your engine. You install ECM to recalibrate the higher flow in air. So anyways, I emailed the company. While I was at work, of course, I got the emails. Okay, cool, I got the new codes. And I worked like the late first shift at that time. So I got home, you know, had some dinner, and decided, you know what, man, it's not even 8 o'clock, or it's just now about to be 8. So I decided, go out in the garage, open the garage up, put in the new code, crank the bike, because what happens at idle, especially if I was slowing down at a red light or a stop sign, it would, you know, the bike would start to sputter like it's going to die, or it's not getting enough oxygen to the engine. So I put in the new code, crank the bike up, and I'm sitting there letting it idle, rev it a little bit. And I didn't do it for very long. I mean, it wasn't like I was out there doing it for like, you know, 10, 15 minutes. I shut my bike off because I probably had it on for like maybe a minute or two at the most. I wanted to let the engine warm up a little bit, just to see, rev it a little bit, just to see if it's still sputtering. So I see my 78-year-old neighbor come out. He gets in his van. He backs out, and of course, because I'm facing towards the driveway at this point. And then he drives into my driveway. I'm going, why the hell did he get into his minivan to come to my driveway? Anyways, so backstory on this guy. So he marries a girl in her 30s. And he has 2 kids with her, and I guess that his reasoning is, hey, I'm an old bastard, need to have some kids, so I'm going to marry this girl in her 30s who at least have a chance to have kids with her, which he did. So he comes over and he's like, hey man, hey neighbor, you know, I hate to bother you, but you know, could you not, crank your bike? And it wasn't even 8:30, because normally the etiquette for, you know, mowing your yard and things like that is that you shut it off at 9, at the least 10, because by then most people are already in bed. Some are in bed, and some people are trying to enjoy their TV. Don't want to hear no wang wang wang, you know, noise in the background. So I was like, okay, you know, it's 8 o'clock, I'm out there. But anyway, he comes up. He goes, hey, I realize it's about 8 o'clock, but I have little ones who goes to bed by 8, and I'm just wondering if you could not do this after 8 o'clock. Now we were cordial. I told the guy, yeah, hey man, no problem at all. You know, we shake hand. He leaves. You know, we weren't yelling at each other, cursing. You know, I'm gonna kick your ass. You know, I'm gonna beat you up. What the hell are you doing? You know, you crazy old man. What didn't sink into me is when the old guy was saying, my children, you know, goes to bed by 8, and I thought it was because all this time I thought the younger girl that lived with him was his daughter, and the 2 kids were his grandkids. On top of that, she has her mother that lives there with them. I thought the mother was his wife. Turns out it wasn't, because I talked to a neighbor later, and they kind of filled me in. I was like, okay. So I was thinking in the back of my mind, it's like, okay, this guy's daughter must work like a really early first shift. She probably gets up around, 4, 5 in the morning, so she probably goes to bed around 8. Cool, I don't want to be a asshole neighbor. So flash forward to a month. This was like in, I think it was in August. It's around now. So fast forward to September. I'm sitting, it's Thursday, because I remember I was watching Thursday night football, college football, to be more specific. it's fourth quarter. The game's almost over. I get a knock on my door. So I get up, it's like, man, who the heck can it be? It's 11 at night. Is it going to be two people? It's going to be thieves? Or going to be the cops? In this case, it was the cops. And of course, the house I was in had one of those thin peeping windows on the side of the door, which you can kind of look out. And yeah, and this is going way back before doorbell cams are popular. And in this day and age, I would suggest everyone get a doorbell cam, so that if there's someone out there you want to open the door for, you can, if it's the police, you can kind of hit the intercom. Yes, police officer, what can I do for you? If I open the door and if they go, well, Mr. Child, we need to talk with you. Can you open the door? Okay, sure, I'll open the door. So I looked out the, damn it, man, it's so humid out here. I'm having a hard time keeping the cigar lit. And you can tell the ash is split. That means it is humid. I got to check the humidor to see what the humidity in the humidor was. So anyways, I looked out the little window, and there's a cop car in my driveway, and there's one in the front yard. I'm like, what the hell, man? Let me open the door. Open the door. There's two officers standing. They're standing in front of the door. They're not standing off to the side for like domestic dispute calls. So I'm like, oh, hey, officer, what can I do for you? So the officer goes, well, we've been called on a noise complaint. And he goes, one of your neighbors called the police, and he specifically pointed you out as having a loud motorcycle, and that you were riding it up and down the street, causing, causing noise. Which again, if you have a motorcycle, you have every right to ride it up and down the street. F your neighbors. So it just so happened that this day I took my truck to work. So I was like, no, officer, my motorcycle's been in the garage all day. I've been sitting here watching, football all evening. And I said, and I mentioned I did hear a few motorcycles going up and down the street, but other than that, I've been in the house. And the tone that I use here is the tone that I use with the officer. A calm, not officer, high-pitched tone or a condescending tone, just a neutral. Yeah, I've been here watching football all evening. My bike's in the garage, and that was it. I didn't give him lip, didn't give him attitude. I just spoke to them normally. I didn't do which asshole neighbor was it that called on me, huh? And why the hell are you guys out here? If you do that, then you've just escalated the encounter with a police officer was like a minute, 2 minutes at the most. And when you do talk to the police, don't add any more. Like, hey man, you want to go check the garage? No, I didn't say that. No, don't add more to it. And the officers they're like, okay. They're like, okay, we're good. I'm like, you good? It's like, okay, yeah, we're out of here. You take care. And that was it. Both officers left, got in their cars, and took off. Now I'm pretty sure the guy probably embellished, like, oh, the guy's a Hell's Angel. He has his biker friends over, which I do have biker friends. Friends who do ride motorcycles, they do come over. But we're not Hell's Angel. I guess with my when I get my hair cut short and wearing leather and stuff, I guess you could look like a thug riding a motorcycle. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure the guy embellished the story in order for them to send 2 squad cars, 2 officers. It wasn't just, hey, look, man, I got my neighbor. Here's his address. The guy's been riding his motorcycle up and down the street. It's loud. And I remember the hearing the motorcycle too. And it was around the 8 o'clock time when his kids, not his grandkids, when his kids do go to sleep. So I remember around the 8 o'clock is when I heard the motorcycles going up and down the street. But I'm pretty sure he embellished it. But again, I didn't jump out there, puffing my chest out, going, "Oh, what the hell you cops want?" And yeah, and of course they didn't mention which neighbor it was either. I got no apology from the asshole. No, he didn't come over and go, "Hey, look, man, I was the one to call the cops, man. Let me apologize, because it turns out it wasn't you." So anyways, I'm saying anyways a lot. So about 3 months later, this old guy croaks. So I remember one day there was probably like 20 cars in front of his house. And again, I talked to the neighbor, like, "Yeah, man, old Jim," I think his name was Jim. Old Jim passed away. It's like, oh man, I hate to hear that. So of course, all his house, and his house was a nice house, had a pool in the back, had a tennis court. My house didn't. Okay, it was a rental. And yes, if you live in a rental house or even an apartment, you can, especially a house, if you ask the landowner or the leasing company, "Hey, I want to put a doorbell, I want to put a camera doorbell on my door." They're like, "Yeah, sure, man, go ahead. We're not going to be against that." Apartments too. If you ask them, they'll be like, "Yeah, sure." Now they may charge you a fee for if I guess if you leave it up, they might charge you a fee to remove it or something like that, or take your deposit. So after the guy left, the house, his property goes to his 30-something-year-old wife, and of course, now that the alpha is dead, she has her friends over on the weekdays, especially on the weekends, and they're up past. I can hear loud music, and if I go outside in the house, I don't. But if I go outside, I can hear loud music coming from the house. After 10, 11, 12, and I'm pretty sure those, 2 kids who were forced to go to bed by at 8 o'clock when he was alive, were probably awake way past 8. Now that he's dead. Yeah, because every day she would have all these cars at her house, and the lights in the pool and the tennis court were on when these people are over, so they're out there doing stuff in the pool. Now what's weird and what's kind of creepy is that one day I was out in the garage, cleaning up, stuff like that. And the kid, it was the boy, he comes over and he's like, "Hey sir, can you help me?" He's like, "Oh shit, what's going on?" So I was, "Yeah," what's going on, And he goes, "Me and my friend were out in the pool, and and he goes, we were, we were locked out. Somehow the door closed behind him and locked itself. And what's weird is the kid mentioned that he saw his dad, which is the old man. Which was creepy. I was like, okay, the old guy's dead. At this point, yeah, this is after the old guy's dead. The kid mentioned that he saw his dad close the door when he and his buddy were out in the pool. Which, yeah, I was like, okay, man, the old man's haunting the house. Of course, I've since long moved, and I don't know if she's still there, but the old man was haunting the house, basically. And he asked me to use my cell phone to call his mom. I was like, "Hey, no problem, here you go, kid." And luckily, the kid looked like the kid was, at the time, 8. Yeah, what's weird is that, yes, during the encounter, no, he didn't mention the kid's age, but the kid looked like he was about 8 or 9 or 10 at the most. So yeah, I gave my cell phone, he called his mom, and he goes back, and I guess I'm still out there, and I guess a little bit later, probably about 30 minutes later, I guess a car shows up, which I assume was her, to I guess unlock the door, let the kid in. And I was like, man, that is spooky. The old man's haunting the house. And as long as he stayed at his house, and haunt there, that's fine. Now the second time, I was actually in an apartment, and I remember the night that the SWAT call happened. Is that I was sitting watching Seven Samurai, and as you know, the Seven Samurai is a Japanese, feudal era. Well, it's not really feudal. I guess it would be around it might be the Meiji era, because this is the time between the switch over between shoguns, not shogun, but samurais losing their title and stuff like that. So I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm not even watching that loud because I heard a knock on the door and I heard Dallas police. So what the hell? So I'm on the second floor. I go out to my balcony. I look to say, hey, who's there? Because people do knock on your door. This is like 1 a.m, by the way. And it was a policewoman. She picks up and goes, hey, this is Dallas police. And I was like, okay. So I go to the door. And unlike this Ryan Whitaker guy, I didn't jump out there, chest puffing. I didn't have loud music, but I did have my TV on. So of course I turned the volume, I muted the volume on the TV, I cracked the door, I left the little hinge thing, stuck my foot on the door, in case they try to kick it in. And it was the same thing as, I guess for domestic violence call, the police, when they knock on the door and say who they are, they will step back about 10 feet. It was the same thing. I opened the door and I kind of looked through the crack and I was like, I don't see no one. I said, hello, anybody there? And then this little police woman, she was by herself. Now, it wasn't like two police officers in the case of the Phoenix. I'm trying to keep my cigar lit here. And she's like, well, we got a domestic call from one of your neighbors saying that they hear loud yelling and cursing. They hear banging on the walls. They hear things being thrown around. And I was by myself at that time. Wife was out of town and visiting family. I was like, no, officer, I'm here by myself. I'm sitting here watching TV. That's all I'm doing. So I can turn the volume down if it's too loud. And she didn't, and that was our conversation. She didn't even question. She's like, she probably paused like a second. She's like, no, that's okay. You're good. And she walks off. I can hear her mumbling something like, another useless call. And I can see her, kind of, shrugging her shoulder, and I closed the door, and that was it. And the way this apartment I was in is that the living room is sort of in the middle of the apartment, which is here. Over to the left was the kitchen and the entrance, and over to the right is the bedroom. And the neighbor, and I know there was this asshole neighbor who is to the right of me. His bedroom is is next to my bedroom. And normally, if I'm going to be playing games on the PC or games on the TV or watching movies later on at night, I'll close my door to the bedroom so that it does dampen the sound a little bit. And I know it's him because it's not the neighbors to my left, because I know those guys, their bedroom is on the other side, because their living room is next to my kitchen, and their bedroom is on the other side of the living room. So I know it wasn't them. And and this is the same asshole. I was outside on the porch smoking my cigar, like mid-afternoon, where he decides to open up his bedroom window. And of course the window's blowing that way. And it wasn't long for the guy poked his head out, kind of looked at me. The cigar went out, by the way. Let me relight it. I kept smoking. I looked at him, I was like, fuck you, man. I didn't say that, but that's what I said in my head. You freaking call the cops on me for no reason. Now, it could have been a noise complaint, like the cop could have came out and said, hey, look, one of your neighbors is calling. saying, you know, there's loud noises, maybe it's your TV or you're listening to loud music. It wasn't that. It was a domestic call. And domestic violence calls are like one of the worst that police officers want to get. A lot of police officers are shot and killed responding to domestic violence calls. And of course, the Democrats wants to send social workers to domestic violence call, which I guess is going to get a lot of social workers killed. So that was like, again, about a minute, you know, about a minute interaction with the police. And again, the tone I'm using while I'm talking here is what I use with the officer. You know, I didn't go, which asshole neighbors called the domestic on me? You know, you dumbass police didn't even bother double checking. You know, stuff like that. So again, it was just a quick, hey, I'm sitting watching TV. You know, I could turn the volume down. You know, if that's the case. You know, and she just responded. The police lady responded with, no, you're good, and she walks off. And that's how, you know, and that's how you should be. Yeah, and about a month later, the guy moved out, and some new people moved in. And of course, apartments, people move in and out all the time. What the heck, man? The freaking train's still running? Yeah, we have a commuter train that goes through the neighborhood. Whew, man, it is humid. And the thing about smoking cigars in a humid environment is that it to me, at least for me, it affects me more. So now, so those are my two cases. And if it ever happens to you, speak to the officer in a calm, a non-condescending or a non-aggressive voice, like, hey, officer, what can I do for you? And normally they'll come back, hey man, I got a domestic call, or your neighbor called us to, and if you didn't do anything wrong, and even if you were playing loud music, you can say, hey, I apologize. I can turn my music down. I can turn my TV down. If it's for a domestic and you and your wife are there, if they want your wife to come to the door, I call, hey honey, come to the door. Cops want to talk with you. Which they probably will if they think it is an actual domestic violence situation, as opposed to usually in that case is if someone in the household calls. But if it's a neighbor calling, and you're like, no, officer, we haven't been arguing. We've been sitting here watching TV. We can turn down the TV volume if that's too loud and the neighbor's complaining about that. But we just been sitting here. But basically, don't escalate. Don't give more information. Again, don't give or try to input more than what's needed for the conversation. And definitely don't go jumping out of your door, with a gun in your hand. So on to Mr. Ryan Whitaker's situation. Some people are saying, and we won't know until the 911 call gets released. And I don't know if Arizona has, I don't even know if Texas has anti-swatting legislations or anti-swatting laws. And it is per state. There's not a federal anti-swatting, which I don't think the federal government needs to get involved in that. Whoa, get away, bug! Get away! So some people are saying that the neighbor called 911, saying that there's a domestic violence going on, and they can hear, just like in my case, they can hear yelling, they can hear cursing, they can hear banging on the wall, they can hear things being thrown around. Please go to this address. So in this case, they send 2 officers, and and they knock on the door. They announce, hey, Phoenix PD, and then they step back about 10 feet, which is part of the protocol. So when you look through the peephole or you crack your door, you know, you're not going to see nobody there. You know, you're going to have to yell, "Hello, anybody there?" Like what I did. And then at that point, the police officer will interact with you. They'll come to the door, or they'll show themselves, you know, stepping. Yeah, because that female officer, she kind of stepped. She kind of stepped to the a little bit to the side where I could see her, but she was still like 10 feet back away from me. She was still pretty far away to where if you open the door and try to charge her, she would have a, yes, and her hands were on her gun too. To where, yeah, if you open the door and decide to charge, you know, 10 feet, the officer should have a chance to, you know, to draw their weapon and fire. I believe that's probably why they do that, for domestic calls. I need to drink some more water. My throat's getting dry, even though it's humid out here. So in his case, and yes, you can hear when he opens up the door, you can hear the loud music, the thump, thump, thump coming out from his apartment. And I'll cover apartment etiquette here real quick. Usually, in a lot of, you know, if you have newer TVs, they will have a nighttime setting that you can set to where the volume. What it does is that if a loud, basically what that nighttime setting is that if a loud commercial comes on, it will automatically lower the volume. That's what the nighttime setting is on the smart TVs. Or usually after midnight, if you're going to be still watching TV, watching movies, you know, you want to lower the volume down by a few notches, as to not disturb your neighbors, because apartment walls are thin as hell. It's basically, it's just like in your house. It's basically sheetrock, empty space, or actually sheetrock, empty space with some 2x4s in there, and another sheetrock. So that doesn't buffer noise for nothing. If you want to test it out, just go to one of your bedroom, have your, you know, have another person go to the other side, and speak normally, because normal room speech is about 70 to 80 decibel, like what I'm speaking right now. Actually, my speech is probably around, I think room, I guess normal room conversation is about 50 to 60 decibel, which is what I'm speaking right now. And then we're guess loud speak, where you're, you know, trying to talk to someone across the room, would bring it up to around, you know, the 70 to 80 decibel. Or if you're having a party and everyone's talking over each other, and you can, and I guarantee you, you can hear the other person on the other side easily. And even in the higher rent apartments, it's the same, you know, sheetrock, empty space with 2x4s, you know, ribs or space, and then sheetrock again, which doesn't dampen sound worth a crap. Normally, if I listen to music when I was in apartments, I would put on a headphone, which I still do. If I want to listen to music, I'll put on a headphone, and of course, if you're in a house, you know, if you want to listen to music, you ain't got to worry about neighbors. If you want to watch a movie, it's a movie you really like, you want to crank up the volume, again, you ain't got to worry about neighbors. So, yes, and I hate living in apartments. Of course, if you live in a house or if you rent a house, you got to worry about yard work, but that comes with living in a house. Or you can pay someone to do your yard work, you know, mow your grass and, you know, things like that. So yeah, so he answers the door. He opens the door first. He sees nobody. So I'm assuming he's thinking, okay, it's one of my neighbors being an asshole. You know, the neighbors have done this before. So he opens the door up wider and then he walks out, with gun in hand, and he's facing one of the officers that's in front of him, And at this point, they got their flashlight on him. They're yelling, you know, "Police, police, drop your weapon." Which the guy goes to do. The problem is the police officer who's at his back shoots him 3 times in the back, killing him. The officer who's in the front, who has the best view, and who also probably saw him. And if you watch the body cam of the police officer that did the shooting, you can tell that he's leaning down to drop his gun when he got shot. So in this case, when a 911 call does come out, and if this was a SWAT call, then the person calling should be liable for a fake 911 call, which ended up in a person being killed. And if they use the precedents that happened in Kansas, where there was a SWAT call on a person, and the person got shot and killed by the police, and the guys were sentenced to 20 years without parole, then yeah, the person who called 911 should get the same treatment. If it came out and said that they called, hey man, you know, there's domestic violence going on, which there wasn't, and then the guy ended up getting killed by the police, then yeah, that person did the 911 call should definitely be brought up on charges, and if found guilty, you know, 20 years in prison. I don't know about the no parole part, but you know, 20 years, and they can use the case in Kansas as a precedent for the charges. Yes, that right. Any court cases, criminal or civil, can be used by DAs and judges as a, hey, we're charging you because based on this case that happened, we're using this case as an example. So that's why anytime a case goes to court and litigation goes through, it can be used in other cases. Now, of course, the officer that shot him in the back 3 times has been put on leave. They haven't been fired. My thing is that, you know, if this, you know, Phoenix, Arizona, this one is me directing this to people in Phoenix, Arizona. You guys dodged a big one. You know, being that this is a white man, nothing's going to happen. Yeah, his family came out. They did a news conference and things like that, saying, hey, you know, this is injustice. You know, the police officer needs to be fired. You know, and things like that. And you know, there needs to be better police training. You know, and of course, after the shooting, you can hear the police officers talking, or there was some sort of interview. And of course, the police officer came out again and said, I was scared. And I do support the police. But one thing we need to get rid of is this, I was scared. You know, I don't want to hear police officers saying they're scared. Because if they're saying that, that means that when they go into a situation, they were scared to begin with already. So the police officer, you know, after the fact, after the shooting, saying they're scared, that meant that that person was scared going into that situation. And yes, and I understand that fear is something that we all have. Yeah, damn it, cigar went out again. Yeah, but I'll put the cigar down until I'm done with this, and then well, actually, see if I can shake the ash off and relight it. Yes, that means the person was scared prior to going into that situation. We drink. Yes, so back to the Phoenix dodging a big one. Now, had this been a black man, Black Lives Matter, Antifa would be rolling into town. There would be looting and rioting. Businesses would have been set on fire. There would probably be looting and rioting till today. More businesses being set on fire. Unrest going on all over the place in Phoenix. Yeah, so Phoenix, you guys dodged one right there with Ryan Whitaker being a white man as opposed to a black man. So in that case, I guess you guys can kind of count your blessing. And I'll say it again, because this is a white guy, nothing's going to happen. If anything, there might be a payout, if at all. And you know, the family might get a settlement from the city of Phoenix for one of their officers, of course, causing death to unneeded. And in my opinion, the officer didn't need to shoot. The guy he was putting up his left hand. You can see in his right hand he was kneeling down to put the gun down. And had the officer waited an extra second or two and not shoot, then and you can see too that they showed a photo that after they removed the body. So yeah, the gun was on the ground. Of course, when he shot, it definitely wouldn't drop the gun. But yeah, but in the video you can tell the guy's kneeling down to put the gun down when he realized, hey, these are the police, not some asshole neighbor. Okay, and I guess I'll close it on this. I guess more recent news is that Kenosha. I finally got a chance to see the video. So there's a couple of videos, and the police still haven't released the body cam. So basically, there's two videos. There's one video where the neighbor's taking a video across the street in their house. Of course, you got the window screen in the way. Looking at that video, all you see is the guy walking around his car with police officers with gun drawn following him. And you can see, even with this grainy video, you can see the knife in his hand. And he goes to his car door, opens it up, and he gets shot. And yes, the guy's a quadriplegic. He's basically going to be pooping through a colostomy bag, which you have to clean. And being that he's a quadriplegic, he can't clean it himself. Someone's going to have to do it. And then there's another video where there's a lady. It's a very shaky video. You can see him struggling with the police. And I believe in this case, because of George Floyd, the police they're trying to take him down, but they grabbed him by the arm and was trying to pin him down on the ground with one arm. And this is not Aikido. Maybe in your Aikido class, grabbing someone with one arm, trying to pin them to the ground with one arm might work. But against someone out in the street that's struggling, and the arm and the arm that the police officer grabbed was the right arm where he had his knife in. And you can see the officer was struggling with the guy, and he pulls away because you just got him by one arm. You need to grab him, by both arms, or grab him by the by something, by the torso or something. Throw him to the ground. He has a knife in his hand. So anyways, so the officers were treating him with kid gloves, basically. Yeah, so he pulls away, he gets up, and this other video you can see him walking walking around, and then you hear the gunshot. So in that video, seeing that video, yes, this guy was 100% in the wrong. Number one, you need to, so supposedly, I guess the backstory is that there was two people fighting, and the guy was trying to break up these two people. That's why he was there. It's probably his wife, mouthing off to somebody. Those are part of the people who are fighting, and of course, the people in the hood call the police. And if you don't want this to happen, stop calling the police. Deal with your own. They probably could have dealt with this on their own, but I guess again the guy probably pulled the knife out, and someone was like, "Hey, I'm calling the cop, man. This guy just pulled out a knife." And from what other people have said is that the cops show up. One of the officers recognizes him as someone who has a warrant for their arrest. So he wasn't the one, or actually, since he had the knife in his hand, I guess they did call the cops on him. And that's where the video picks up, is where the officers are trying to subdue the guy, with one hand, with one arm, trying to take him to the ground and pin him to the ground with one arm. That may work in the dojo or in the training classes that they give the police officer, but in reality, if you just got somebody by one arm trying to subdue him, and if the person is sweaty, if the person's a big person, this guy wasn't a small man. He was a big man. He looked like he was at least about 6 feet or so. Yeah, and especially if it's a man, he's going to be able to pull away from you easily. And of course, and I guess onto that 17-year-old kid who came from Illinois, as it turns out. I thought he was a Wisconsin resident. And I don't know what's going to happen with this kid since he's 17. So I'm assuming he grabs his dad's AR. And being from Illinois, I doubt at 17, because here in Texas, when you're 17, or is it 17 or 18? I believe it's 17. I think Texas just passed a legislation where if you're 17, you can actually have a rifle. And an AR-15 or AR-style rifle is considered a long gun. But I highly, highly doubt Illinois has that legislation where a 17-year-old can be in possession or own a long gun. So I'm assuming he took his dad's AR, and Wisconsin's right next to, or actually, Wisconsin's next to Minnesota. And Illinois is right next to Wisconsin. I think there's Indiana, Wisconsin. Anyway, he gets in his car, drives over to Kenosha, and he's trying to defend some a auto repair shop or something like that. And I think when the total news comes out, is that he probably knows the owner of that shop. And because I'm thinking, okay, well, this 17-year-old kid is not just going to jump in his car with a gun and drive there looking for trouble. I have a feeling he knew the owner of the shop, and I guess took it upon himself to go help. Because there are now videos coming out, which I haven't watched them yet. And if you watch the video, the kid was assaulted. He ran away, so he wasn't like, he was assaulted and he started shooting. He was being assaulted. He ran away. He was chased down, and at that point is when he defended himself and shot and killed those two guys, and shot the third guy, which he survives. And this guy, the guy who survived, and I'm pretty sure the two guys who are dead, these guys are paid Black Lives Matter agitators. And of course, this guy is refusing to talk to police. He's got, I guess, the Black Lives Matter paid attorney. And if I were the Kenosha police or the Wisconsin State Police, I would keep this guy's hospital room under surveillance, because he could easily just get up and walk out and he would be gone. Again, depends on his severity of his gun wound. And of course, the kid's been arrested and he's being charged with a whole slew of murder charges. First-degree murder with intent, meaning that he went to this Kenosha, Wisconsin, with the intent of killing somebody. So of course the kid does have. I don't know if it was a family attorney that they hired himself, or this guy was a public defender. And of course his attorney, the defense attorney, basically come out and say, "Hey, look, man, with these new videos that are coming out, security camera videos that are coming out, it clearly shows that my client was assaulted, and he left. He tried to flee and was chased down and was being assaulted, and he defended himself. So I guess they could, he's not going to get off free here. They're going to get something on this kid. The illegal weapons possession, they can definitely get him on that. Murder one, they're going to have a hard time trying to pin, murder one with intent to kill. I guess is what they were trying to get him on. And of course, attempted murder, because the one guy survived. Yeah, and that's the thing with when I mentioned, hey, Black Lives Matter and Antifa is going to come rolling into Phoenix. That's basically what these guys, these paid agitators do. Is that when something pops off, where a black man gets killed by the police or by a white person, they all get in their vans and roll into town and start, rioting and burning. And supposedly the Kenosha police arrested, I think they said 9 people in 2 cars, and they had gas. They had gasoline in canisters and stuff like that, which of course they're going to be using to set things on fire. So these people definitely paid. It's not cheap to travel, and yes, these guys are all piling in the cars. So you got all these mouths to feed. You gotta pay for the gas to get where you're going. I don't know how far these 9 people drove from, but they just mentioned that the cars they were in had out-of-state license plate. If they're sleeping in the car, okay, you ain't gotta pay for a hotel, but you still gotta feed these. Feeding 9 people is not cheap, unless they're eating grass on the side of the road. Now, hopefully Trump does do something about Antifa and BLM. And of course, if anything's done, it's definitely going to be after the election. And presidents do get the most of their legislations and laws signed into law. At least the meat or the bulk of the laws that they sign are during their second term. And the same thing with Obama. He got Obama. Of course, there were talks about Obamacare during his first term, and he got Obamacare passed during his second term. And yes, 2012. Of course, I had it was high deductible medical insurance, which was only $1,000. I go to the doctor, but once or twice is normally when I get the cold or the flu. It's like, hey man, this just ain't going away. Let me go check. Let me go have the doctor check me out. You go to one of those clinics that you can register online. The doctor checks your throat, your eye, run a blood test. So it's like $150 for the doctor visit, because if you go into one of those clinics, it's cheaper if you go to your primary care doctor. But he's like, hey, I need to see a doctor this afternoon, kind of thing, and then you can go to those clinics. My throat's dry. I'm gonna drink some more water. Talking, smoking, yeah, it's gonna dry your throat out. And of course, if you have blood work done, then it's going to be up around $200, $30. And yeah, you should be able to pay for that out of your pocket. And even when I had the $1,000 deductible, I never really, both me and the wife, we go a couple of times a year. And at the most, we're talking $500-600 out of pocket for 2 people going to the doctor once or twice a year. So we never really reached the $1,000 deductible. So that's in 2012. So by the time 2014, 2 years after Obamacare kicks in, so by 2014, my deductible is now $5,500, and that's for husband and wife or two people. And so my I guess high deductible is now $5,500, and I'm like, man, and I even had minor surgery too, and I kept asking the doctor. So, hey man, have I reached my $5,500 yet? He's like, nope, you haven't. I go do this procedure, that procedure, pay for this, pay for that. Pay for everything was coming out of my pocket. Paid for physical therapy. Still haven't reached the $5,500 mark. Yeah, so so basically, Obamacare is insurance, and people have said it's basically insurance that you can't afford to use. Cannot afford to use. My brother, in his case, since it's a family, their deductible was like $12,000. It was him, his wife, and their kids. I talked to him, and I was like, man, my deductible is like freaking $12,000 now. I was like, holy shit, man. And I mean, yeah, mine's $5,500. Yeah, but he's like, yeah, my deductible with the family used to be $5,500. Until Obamacare kicked in, now it's like $12,000. Yes, even going to the ER under Obamacare is not going to, because he mentioned, yeah, even if myself or one of the kids goes to the ERs, it's not going, unless you got to stay. But if you go in and you get discharged that day, it's not going to reach 12,000. Which happened because I guess his daughter had a inflammation or something, and yeah, she had to go into the hospital. It was an emergency room, and things like that, and it came out to like 9,000. I remember him griping. He's like, man, it's like we still haven't reached our deductible, even with the ER visit. We haven't reached our deductible. And yeah, and I don't know what he did with that 9,000. I'm pretty sure he probably is like, hey, can I? And yes, you can pay it monthly. You can, you can talk with the hospital administrator. Straight, and yeah, you can pay monthly until it gets paid off, or you can do what a lot of the illegals do: just go to the ER, get your work done and leave and never pay. And of course, hospital insurance, of course, has to cover that. But most of us, we pay like my surgery and stuff that I had to get done. I paid all that out of my pocket. So basically, and Trump said it too. Under Biden's America, if you look at Minneapolis, Seattle, Washington, New York, these are the small examples of what the Democrats have been planned for the U.S. Because even a lot of liberals are coming out and going, hey, look, man, I'm still a Democrat, but I'm not these Democrats. It's like they've gone so far left that they're no longer a Democrat liberal. They're Democrats. They're actually liberals, or liberal socialists. They're no longer Democrats. And I've said it too. Trump is of course he's running under the Republican banner, and there's a reason why the rhinos and never Trumpers don't like him, because he is liberal leaning. He's what you would call a traditional liberal. Would a conservative president overwrite Congress to give out extended emergency unemployment funding? I don't think a conservative president would do that. Would he give funding to HBCU? A conservative white president wouldn't do that. Would he give funding to organizations that that help, I guess, low-income neighborhoods. No, a conservative black president wouldn't do that. But I guess at this point, Trump is our best bet, because other than that, you got Biden and Kamala Harris. What's that lady, Alice, something that was pardoned by Trump yesterday? I guess I didn't know there were levels of pardons, but he gave her a complete pardon, meaning that everything that's on her record is swiped clean. So if she had a speeding ticket, so if she but of course the main thing was that she was jailed for drug possession, and of course the Democrats came back like, well, Obama pardoned. I forget the guy's name, but the guy that Obama pardoned, he was a black man, was basically a drug kingpin. This Alice, I think her name's Alice. This Alice lady was just in possession of drugs. She wasn't a drug kingpin. So they were trying to compare her to the guy that Obama pardoned. They're like, no, man, you can't compare her. She just had drug possession. This guy's a drug kingpin. He was a big mover. And and she spent 22 years in jail for drug possession, and people have gotten less than that for murder, and of course Trump pardoned her, and that's a good thing. And of course the Green New Deal, they're still trying to push that. And during Trump's acceptance speech on Thursday, he kind of poked fun at the Democrats, talking about they want renewable energy all across the U.S. But look at California, they can't even keep the lights on. I was like, yeah, I know. I got relatives who live in California. When the rolling blackout hits, they're sitting in the dark. But of course they're pounding their chest, talking about, hey man, we are 100% renewable energy. Thumbing their nose at the rest of the nation, talking about, look at us, look at how good we are, and you can't even keep the lights on, in your neighborhoods. And of course there are certain businesses like the police stations, fire stations, hospitals who I guess are on a special grid, where when the rolling blackout happens, those are businesses. Big tech, I'm pretty sure when the rolling blackout occurs, big tech doesn't get hit. Big tech is on the grid of the do not disturb grid. All right, well that's it. Thank you for sticking around, and hopefully get this edited, uploaded, and we'll see when if there is, come September, if there is a Biden and Trump debate, which I think Biden's going to be a no-show. I have a feeling it's going to be one of those debates where Trump is there, but Biden is on some sort of a live stream. And I wouldn't put that past the Democrats at all. And if I was a Democrat, that would look bad on the Democrats. Like, why didn't Biden show up? They can space them 20 feet, and actually they're spaced 20 feet apart anyways. And we'll see. And it's really, really freaking humid out here. It's hot, humid, and I bought this cigar probably last week, and it's been in my humidor, and it's out again because it's so freaking humid. I can't keep the cigar lit. Now, if I was sitting here just smoking, I'd have no problem. But since I'm yakking and putting the cigar down to the side, it's going out. So we'll see what other hotspot pops up, and Black Lives Matter, Antifa, they all pile, because if I was a state police, or something pops off in your state, I would actually there would be a lot of cars coming in from out of state license plate. But I would post, troopers at the main highway arteries, and any cars come from out of state, I would check those cars. Like, hey man, there's 10 of you guys in this car, and there's only supposed to be 5 people, kind of thing. And I don't know. That's just a suggestion. All right, well, let me try to relight my cigar. So again, stay safe. Try not to get sick, which I doubt at this point. I guess wear a mask if you got to wear a mask. Stay out of the Democrat riot cities. And if you live in one, definitely stay safe. Don't be foolish like that 17-year-old kid. And like I said, more than likely he probably knows that shop owner, and probably took it upon himself to go help out the shop owner, protect the shop. What's weird is, it's not weird. What's funny is, I guess what's in the news, one of the shop owner was, I guess, a furniture store that the family owned for 40 years. Of course, the guy come out, he's defiant, which is good. He's talking about, yeah, well, we're going to rebuild. You burnt down the store, we're going to rebuild, and we're going to be better than ever. The problem is, if something pops off there again, your store's going to get burnt down again. But it is good that the guy decided, hey, we're going to rebuild and stay in the neighborhood. We're not going to take the insurance money and just run off. Which a lot of these store owners are doing. They're like, hey, look, I got no insurance on this store, I can't rebuild. Or if they got insurance, they're taking the insurance money and saying, hey, we're done. I'm going to go work in an office somewhere, or I'm going to open up my business in another town somewhere where where this is less likely to happen. All right, well, that's it. Yeah, so if you're outside smoking when it's humid, good luck keeping your cigar lit. Like I said, it did rain about a few hours ago, and it's super humid and hot. I'm sitting there sweating. And thanks for watching. Hey folks, okay, on a side note, I forgot to mention about the hurricane that partially hit Texas, Hurricane Laura. So the bulk of it, hey, the tiger beetle's back. So the bulk of it, of course, hit Louisiana. But the counties that border Louisiana, the Texas counties that border Louisiana, they got hit pretty hard. And but the bulk of Texas, talk about Houston, Corpus Christi down to Brownville, we lucked out this time. At least for the bulk of Texas, lucked out. So of course, Governor Abbott, declared a federal emergency. Put in the paperwork to the federal government, to Trump, and say, hey, President Trump, you're welcome to Texas. Come check things out. I think next he's going to Louisiana. Now I don't know if the governor of Louisiana declared a federal emergency and is requesting federal emergency assistance from the federal government. I'm hoping they're not doing what they did during Katrina, which is waited 2 weeks, before asking the federal government, like, hey, please come help us, because that's what they did during Katrina. 2 weeks later, the governor decided, oh, okay, yeah, I think I'll ask the federal government now. But Governor Abbott, he didn't wait. Now the very next day, declared a federal emergency and asked for assistance from the federal government for disaster aid, and invited Trump to Texas. Hey, come on down, and which Trump did. Which of course I think he's tomorrow. The next day he's gonna go to Louisiana, which is of course a Democrat state. I think Louisiana's Democrat. I think they are. Well, anyways, at least they were during Katrina. So yeah, so we missed one, and of course there were still evacuees from Louisiana that came into Texas. There was that in the news, and of course I don't think it made national news. I think Fox may have covered it. So it was in downtown Austin, and 60 of the evacuees that were being housed somewhere in downtown Austin decided to have I guess there was a brawl, or there was a fight that broke out, and there was like 60 people melee, and someone pulled a gun and started shooting, and killed an innocent lady. It's a white lady, so nothing's going to happen. And I was like, okay, hopefully these folks, all of them, get accounted for and sent back to Louisiana. And of course, the guy who did the shooting, he's in jail, or he's been arrested and is sitting in jail, I guess, waiting for arraignment. And speaking of sitting in jail, I believe the McKnights, they're out on bond, and so are the police officers, because they. Unless if the judge thinks that you are still a threat to society, or a threat, or a case where you're going to flee, then there'll be no bail, and they'll keep you in jail. So I believe the McKnights are out on bail, and the police officers in Minneapolis are out on bail. I don't think the judge had a no bail for them. Damn, cigar's gonna go out again. What the hell? Yes, sucking on a cigar that went out doesn't taste good. It's actually pretty horrible. Oh, well, that's it for the extra add-on. And yeah, looks like we of course we got rain up here in Dallas, mainly from the tips of the hurricane, which was much welcomed. So we've had like weeks of no rain, of 100+ degree, and the grass is dying. So this rain that we're getting is much welcomed rain. All right, well, that's it again. Thanks, and have a good one.